Hey guys, so today I did a look that was based off of Meghan Markle's makeup from the royal wedding, and she just looked so naturally beautiful that I wanted to recreate it. So starting off for my primer, I'm using the Nip and Fab Glycolic Fix Serum. And even though this is a serum, it honestly works so well as a primer. My makeup goes on so smooth and it lasts forever. So this is honestly one of my favorite primers, and I don't know why, but I just haven't been showcasing it on my channel recently. But honestly, guys, you have to try this. It's so good. So here I'm just applying that all over my face and smoothing it out. And then I'm mixing my Ulta BB cream in the illuminating shade and my Lorac Natural Performance Foundation and applying that with a beauty blender. She looked like she had very natural skin-like foundation on, and so she was nice and perfected, but still like you could see her freckles shining through, and it was just really beautiful. And this also, it has a nice dewy finish, so I think it's perfect for like a nice glowing bridal look. And yeah, so I was actually planning on um, like accentuating some of my freckles that I have, because you could obviously see hers, but I totally forgot. But I mean, it's okay. I have my own freckles, I suppose, and they were visible through the foundation. So here I'm just showing you what it looks like once the foundation is on. And I'm using the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Concealer, and I'm just putting this underneath my eyes, and then I had like a little teeny tiny pimple on my forehead, so I covered that up. And yeah, and then you'll see in a minute, I use my fingers to blend it out. I've been really liking using my fingers to blend out my concealer lately. Normally I hate the feeling of like foundation and stuff on my hand, so I usually always use a brush or a sponge, but I've been using my fingers lately, and honestly, I've been really liking it because it just keeps the coverage there. And I don't know, like this one especially like really blends out nicely with your fingers. So if you're like low on brushes or you're new to makeup or anything like that, like you don't have to worry about having a brush for this concealer, which is really great. And then here I realized I had like too much concealer on my spot, so I just kind of like brought it down to my eyes. But don't worry, I did go back and blend out the rest of the concealer on my little pimple up there. I didn't just leave him half blended out. And then I'm just setting everything with my Wet n Wild Photo Focus Pressed Powder. This just creates a really natural finish, but still sets everything down so it's not going to budge on you at all. And like it says in the title, it is really good for photos. So if you are using this as like a bridal look, you don't have to worry about any flashback or weird coloring from any sort of lighting angles or photos or anything like that. So yeah, I'm just pressing it into my skin with a big brush, and yeah. And I'm using my Manicadar Eye Candy Priming Shadow Stick in S'more. It's just this nice bronzy color, and it's going to prime my lids and also just create a nice colored base for our shadows. You could use like a regular non-colored primer if you wanted to, but I just thought that this one would add a little extra color and definition underneath. And so I just applied it near my lash line and then blended it upwards with a little like dense brush. And I also like kind of blended it into the crease as well. And I think I show in a couple clips. I also kind of used my fingers as well to help blend it too. Um, and yeah, so like I said, it honestly, like, it doesn't crease or budge throughout the day. I wore this for over 12 hours because I had a graduation later on in the day, and my makeup still looked flawless at the end of the night. And I'm using the Elizabeth Mott Pop Goes to Shadow in Toasted, and I just used a fluffy brush to pack that on the lid and also blend it into the crease. This wasn't intentional, and I realized it like after I already filmed that like everything I used on my eyes besides like the mascara and like one highlighting shadow, but everything is like from a previous Ipsy bags. I thought that was pretty funny, but I mean, you can use whatever you already have on hand. Here I'm just using a plain fluffy brush, nothing on it, just to help blend out those edges. And she also had like a slightly winged out shape, nothing like crazy cat eye, but just slightly winged out. So that was what I was doing there. And I have this Pacifica trio that I'm using. I'm taking the darkest brown. It looked like she had a little bit of extra definition in the outer corner and in the crease area. So I'm just further like defining that little winged out shape I was just talking about. And like I said, just adding a little more definition to it. You could definitely skip this step if you didn't want anything super smoky or anything, but I decided to add it because I could see there's a little extra definition. And again, using that plain fluffy brush just to help blend everything. And more blending. Lots of blending. And here I'm just using the Wet n Wild Brulee shadow to help highlight my brow bone. Also, if you like blend up too high like I have, this is like an awesome step to just like kind of like your eraser step, if you want to think of it like that. I use like a packing brush to really help get that color on there, and then I'll go in with a clean fluffy brush. The brush that I'm using here is actually a dual-ended brush, so that's really helpful, but any fluffy brush will do. So I just help diffuse that, and then if I happen to accidentally blend it down too far, you saw I went back in with the same brush that I had applied the toasted shade and just kind of put some of that color back in there. And then I'm using the light champagne shade from that same trio and just highlighting my brow bone and inner corner a little more. It looked like there was like a little bit of like shimmer, but nothing like super poppin'. So this is a nice natural glowy shade, so I thought it was perfect for this. And then I'm taking that same shadow stick and just applying a little bit on my lower lash line and the toasted shadow, and I used that to blend it all out. It was like a light definition, but definitely still defined on her lower lash line. So I'm just using my finger and the brush together to help diffuse and, like I said, just create subtle definition on that lower lash line. I'm using my Trestique mini eyeliner in Swiss chocolate, I believe. Oh, we'll see. Yeah, Swiss chocolate. I couldn't tell if it was a black or a brown, like a really dark brown on her lash line, so completely up to you what you want to use. If you want something a little more defined and darker, you can go for a black or maybe even a gray, but I chose to go with this dark brown pencil liner, and she really just had like a medium thickness kind of line across her upper lash line, and it didn't really go into a wing necessarily. It was just kind of like slightly extended. I don't know if I included a clip of me extending it, but I just extended it slightly from the lash line without creating an actual wing. And then I used the Maybelline Total Temptation mascara, and I applied a couple coats of that. I couldn't tell if she was just wearing really natural false lashes or just mascara, but I have pretty long lashes naturally, so I just applied a couple coats and I got a pretty similar effect. But if you feel like you need falsies, then go ahead and apply those at this time. And then I used my Essence Eyebrow Designer pencil in Blonde, and I just filled in my brows. Her brows were like definitely defined, but they weren't super like Sharpie drawn on. So I think that like pencil or eyeshadow would be really good to use to just follow like your natural brow shape and do that rather than like a pomade or something, because pomade can be really harsh sometimes, but totally up to you if you want to use a pomade. And then I also noticed in the front of her brows they were definitely like squared off, so I kind of tried to, I usually do this for my brows anyway, but if you normally don't do this, I would just push your brow hairs upwards in the front to kind of create that natural square shape in the beginning of them. And then just using the little spoolie on the other side of the pencil to just kind of brush out the product and disperse it. If your brow hairs get crazy, you can also feel free to set them, but my hairs don't really move most of the time, so I don't always set them down. Then I'm using my Wet n Wild Color Icon Ticket to Brazil bronzer, and just using a really loose bristled brush to just lightly define the outer corners of my cheeks. You could tell she had a little something something there, but nothing on her cheeks was overly prominent, so I try to keep it nice and light. Then I'm using this Tarte Amazonian Clay blush in Feisty, and again, I'm trying to keep it not so much on, like normally I apply my blush on the apples of my cheeks, but I'm actually trying something new. I didn't apply it directly on the apples, I kind of kept it a little farther back, and I honestly think this is a little more flattering. I also brushed it on my nose just for, oh, and on my chin, for an overall, like, rosy glow blush look, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I think this blush was really nice and, kind of natural looking. And then for a natural glow, I used this City Color cream, what is that thing called? Highlighter. She could definitely had like a highlight going on, but it was it was very natural. So I thought this one worked really well. And yeah, so I'm just using my beauty blender because I find that's the best way to apply cream blushes. Otherwise, if I apply with my fingers or something, then they just move my foundation and it's not cute. And then I'm using, I like tried on the lip first because I wasn't sure if I was going to go with this lip or not, but I do show what it looks like later on. But this is the Laura Mercier liquid lipstick in Shell. This one's a little bit deeper of a pink, and it's also like a metallic finish. Hers was definitely matte, but I'm in the process of packing for moving, so out of the lip colors that I still had available to me, this was the closest thing I had. Honestly, I think NYX, their liquid suede and tea and cookies, I think it is, something like that. I think that one might have been a little closer, because it's like a really like light baby pink and it's more matte, but working with what I got. So, and then here is the completed look. Honestly, it's beautiful, long-lasting. It was very flattering, and I think anyone can do this. It was seriously a super simple look. So I really, really hope that you guys enjoyed this look. If you did, please subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and yeah, I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye!